Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a couple of encounters that will definitely leave you questioning about going into the woods again. Before we get into these encounters, though, a couple links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fan fiction, and scary voice acting. Stories, well, they just don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Now, I've taken enough of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? Today's first encounter. I live on 300 acres of land near Rennell in Greenbrier County, West Virginia. 200 acres of this is thick woodland. I've grown up hunting and fishing and could identify an animal from a mile away. It's pretty late in the season, so my buddy and I decided to go hunting deer. We walked around and tracked the deer for most of the day without even trying to take a shot. We were sitting on a hill and a 6-point buck walked right into the clearing to where I had a clean shot. I went to arm my crossbow but realized I left the ropes back at home. I told my buddy just to sit and wait while I ran and got the ropes. It took me a good 5 or 10 minutes to get them and get back. On my way back down the hill, my buddy met me halfway. He was obviously spooked, so I asked what happened. He said, and I quote, "There was some guy sitting in the tree line watching me in a ghillie suit." My first instinct was to go look for the guy who spooked our deer and was trespassing. Bigfoot was the last thing on my mind. So we followed what we assumed was a hunter from 100 miles away for a good hour or two. It was getting close to dark when we lost the hunter. So we decided to cross the road and head up to the field for a last attempt to get a deer. It was a good mile walk to the top near the tree line, and then we sat and took a break for a while. We were chatting about the upcoming wrestling season and if I was going to join or not. Then something started moving out of the tree line, a good 70 meters away. We jumped up and I took aim. We waited for a few minutes, but nothing broke the tree line. It was getting to be almost pitch black out, and we could barely see anything. That's when something small and black came out of the woods towards us. I say small, but in reality, I mean a decent-sized bear. So we started backing away slowly and yelling. The last thing we wanted was to mess with Mama Bear and her cubs. The black thing stopped and didn't move. We backed up a lot more. My buddy pulled out a flashlight and started shining it at the black thing. I have poor eyesight and didn't have my glasses on, but my buddy started to worry and kept saying, "That's not a bear. That's not a bear, man." My buddy started to panic and scream at the thing. Then he ran a good 10 feet towards it and screamed and banged on his chest. This caused the thing to stand up. It was almost like a man going from a crouching position to standing. This made me and my friend freeze. I don't know what I was looking at or what my friend just pissed off, but if I was guessing, it was a good 7 or 8 feet tall and looked like it weighed 500 pounds. It was extremely dark at this point, so all I saw was the outline due to the sun setting behind it. This was the most afraid I think I had ever been in my life. Whatever that thing triggered a primal fear response in me that screamed to run. My buddy broke my trance when he started sprinting. The thing started sprinting towards us, too. I ran the hardest I'd ever run in my life. I'm a track sprinter, and I can run a decent pace. That thing was toying with us and could have easily caught me and my buddy. We didn't stop running until we were in my bedroom. I didn't hunt the rest of the deer season. I don't know what that was, but but if I had to guess, I'd say it was a Bigfoot. This wasn't too long ago, late autumn 2019. My dog has been staring out the window for the past 3 months. She's 7 months old. I've never really been afraid of animals, but I feel like that Bigfoot is still out there. And I don't want to make it angry, and I definitely don't want to get caught out alone with it. My friend and I saw a bipedal creature that night, and it was terrifying, and I don't want to see it again. Tonight's second encounter. So my friend Jay was over late one night in August of 2020, and we had been talking about paranormal experiences. I brought up the subject of Dogman. She had never heard of the Dogman, so I put on YouTube and showed her a few videos. And then she remembered the video where an unknown creature was filmed digging in a cemetery. When she saw the creature in that video, she gasped and said, "Oh my God, I wonder if that's what I saw." I paused it and was like, "What? You've seen something like this and never told me?" She said basically she saw 2 werewolves about 5 years ago on her property and never brought it up because who would believe that? I asked her to tell me every detail, and I was careful to ask questions that didn't lead her in any way. I'm familiar with what most witnesses see, and lo and behold, every answer she gave matched what others have seen. Here's her account. The location of her encounter was Leonard, Michigan, a pretty rural area with lots of woods and wildlife. Her and her family have a few acres and raise chickens and ducks as a hobby. Her home is on a dirt road and is surrounded by a wooded area. I'll type out our conversation as accurately as I can, and will also have my friend proofread. My friend. This was about 5 years ago, 2015, when my dog was a young puppy. My sister and I took her outside to go to the bathroom. It was dusk, getting dark, but still pretty light to see. The pup noticed something and started to slowly walk towards it. We looked to see what she was seeing, and to our shock, there were 2 huge dogs, or wolves, on our property about 100 feet away from where we were standing on the porch. Instinctively, I took a few steps forward and scooped up my puppy. My sister and I stared at them. They were on all fours, hunched over eating something. They lifted their heads and looked at us, but seemed unbothered, and went back to whatever they were eating. My first thought was I was curious. What the heck were we looking at? I wanted to get a closer look, but that thought was replaced by the realization that this was not safe, and I slowly walked backward. So did my sister. And we went back inside. We locked the doors and windows and asked each other, "What the hell are those things?" We watched them from the window. They eventually left in no apparent hurry. I have kind of put the experience out of my mind and almost forgot about it until now. Me. Did you feel scared or threatened? Jay. Not necessarily. Because of their size and how wrong they looked, I felt they could be dangerous, but they never snarled or showed their teeth or did anything aggressive to scare us. Me. How was your puppy acting? Jay. She probably was too young to realize they could be dangerous. She just seemed curious. Me. What did they look like? Color, size? Jay. One was dark in color, maybe black. The other was a lighter color, like tan, maybe light brown. They were bigger than any dog we knew exist, bigger than a mastiff even. If they were up on their hind feet, they would definitely be much taller than you and I, probably 7 feet or taller is my best guess. Me. What did their fur look like? Was it long or short? Jay. She looks at my pit bull. Definitely not short like your pit bull. Then she looks at my Icelandic sheepdog. Their fur was longer like hers, like a wolf or a German shepherd. Me. Were there any spots on them where the fur was thicker or thinner? Jay. They had thicker fur around their neck, like a big puffy mane. Me. What do their ears look like? They were up and pointed like a wolf. At this point, I'm totally freaking out at how accurate she's describing what others have seen. Me. Okay, so far, you could just be describing large wolves. But you said they looked wrong, so what about them made you think that they weren't just wolves? Did they ever stand or walk on two legs? J. No, they were on all fours, but their anatomy wasn't right. While they were hunched over eating, their shoulders were much higher than their rear ends. They didn't look like a normal dog or a wolf would, bent forward. Like their front arms were way too long, much longer than their rear legs. And how they were eating was weird. They were using their front paws to help them tear apart whatever they were eating and bringing it to their mouths, like they had hands. Me. Could you see if they had hands, or did they look like dog paws? J. Honestly, I couldn't tell. But what kind of dog or wolf uses paws to bring food to their mouth? The way they moved it was like they had hands. That's what really freaked me out. Now I'm totally losing my shit, jumping up and down, excited, and saying, "Oh my God, they are real. I knew it." Me. Could you see any genitalia? Weird thing to ask, I know. I'm just curious. J. No, nothing obvious. Me. What do their hind legs look like? Were they straight like a person's, or did they have the backwards bent like a dog? J. Like a dog's. Me. What do their tails look like? J. She pauses for a while. I can see her thinking. She gets a look of realization. They didn't have tails. Oh my God. That was what really scared me. When they walked away, I remember thinking, oh my God, they don't have tails. Me. What did you conclude that they were? J. I didn't. I was freaked out and had no explanation. My best guess was some type of genetically altered wolf or a werewolf. Me. I would have been obsessed with finding answers if I had seen this. Why did you just put it out of your mind? J. I really have no clue. Maybe because I couldn't come up with a logical explanation. It was too weird and scary thing to think about. We continued talking. She definitely looked freaked out as all these memories came back to her. She asked me questions about what I knew of them, if they attack, what they do, etc. I told her that if she ever encounters one again, to remain calm and back away slowly, just like she did. She brought up firearms. We're both gun owners, and I said all witnesses who pull a gun on these things get a negative response. I told her how they seem to know what a gun is, and that some people recommend never using a gun on them unless you're absolutely sure they're about to attack you. She said she never had an impulse to draw her weapon, as they were not threatening her, her sister, or her pup, and that she had thought of knowing that her pistol wouldn't do much anyhow, other than piss him off. On a side note, later that same week, her boyfriend happened to look out the window on a second story and saw a huge white dog in the field near their house. He says he remembered thinking, that's a massive dog, and that he'd never seen it before. Being in a rural area, they know most of their neighbors' dogs and strays that are not common in that area. He didn't give it too much thought, but as we were discussing her sighting, he brought it up. I asked if they found any evidence of what they were eating or any tracks. The next day, they did go out to where they saw the creatures, and they did find one large canine print. I asked her if they took a photo, and she said that she thinks they did, but can't remember if it was on her phone or her sister's. Whatever they had been eating was completely devoured, or they took the remains with them when they left. As she thought more about it, she remembered that her family had, in fact, had a few of their chickens and ducks go missing around that time. But given that their birds are free range and that there are normal predators in the area, it wasn't overly shocking at the time. She left very late, planning to talk to her sister about it soon and see what she remembers. I told her not to lead her answers and to see if everything matches what she remembered. She did ask her sister about it in the morning, and her sister said she didn't have the clearest recollection of them. When Jay brought up Dogman, her sister actually said she had heard Dogman online and stopped and said, "Dude, maybe that's what we saw." One interesting thing that her sister did remember was that she thought they were eating the carcass of a duck or a chicken, but their conversation was brief, and I would love to talk to her sister sometime soon to ask my own questions. Jay is an honest woman, very down-to-earth and genuine. She has never given me a reason to doubt her. She's not an alcoholic, a drug user, and she's never been one to make a wild claim or make things up for attention. I believe her story wholeheartedly, and for me there is no doubt in my mind that Dogman are real. Alright guys, there you have it. A pretty good set of terrifying encounters. That first one is just straight up terrifying. For some reason, I don't know what they saw in the first one. Yes, the guy described it as a person in a ghillie suit, but he was a ways away. And when the thing came out, it was on all fours. But they did describe it looking like a bear a little bit. Could have been a Dogman. I don't know. Either way, it's a terrifying encounter. I wouldn't want any of these cryptids going after me. Excuse me. The second encounter, that's terrifying. You're out there with your sister and your pup, and two of these creatures are just in your yard eating something. Now, her friend was definitely a toolbox with her questions, and I know I've been saying that word a lot. Dana White uses it. He's the president of UFC, and he uses it when he expresses disdain for his fighters, and I think it's a pretty good word. I don't have to curse. I can just say toolbox. But like her friend putting herself into her encounter. Well, I would have. No, you don't know because you didn't have it. I really have a lot of I don't know, not resentment or anger, but I just wish people that haven't had an encounter wouldn't make the claim of how they would act, because you don't know. Like me, I've had a brief encounter. Once again, sorry guys. I don't know how I would act if I ever had another encounter. I don't know what I would do. I can't say, yeah, I had an encounter and this is what I would do, because I realize that these things are real. I've seen it with my own eyes. I don't have to put myself and say, well, oh my goodness, what if? And I see it, I would grab my phone. Well, your phone isn't the first thing on your mind there. And that's one of my biggest issues with a lot of people that are into cryptozoology. It's a beautiful study, and I love everybody who is on my channel that, you know, people that don't have encounters, they just want to learn. I love that. That is amazing. It's the people that claim to know how they would act that drives me insane. Or the people that write a book about encounters, or people who have podcasts or YouTube channels who have never had an encounter and ask these god-awful, absurd questions. And, you know, it just, to me, cryptozoology is, we're all learning something from another. And that's why I love my channel, because I am constantly learning. Like, the other day when I had Ken on, I learned something new that day. And I enjoyed that conversation. I believe in God. I am a spiritualist. I was brought up Roman Catholic and brought up to embrace my Native American side as well. Like, I would go to church, go to mass, and then go to my family's home and sweat in a sweat lodge. So I embraced spirituality. It did turn into a religious thing a little bit, but that's cool. That's cool. That's his opinion. And that's a lot of people's opinions, that these things are demonic, or these things are this, or these things are that. But the thing is we'll never know until we have one in captivity that the public, not the government, the public can honestly get real answers. And on that day, that's going to suck, because that's what makes this so fun, is not having the answers, the speculation. I think that's what makes it the best, is the speculation. Like talking, you could have 5 people in a room talking about Dogman, and every single person in that room knows they're terrifying. Straight out, they're terrifying. They may have almost the same opinions of where they came from, what they are, but they don't know. And that's the coolest part. We can get, are they biblical? Are they aliens? Are they black magic? Are they interdimensional travelers? And I think having that broad of a answer pattern, or whatever fits in your belief system at that point, I think that's so cool. I really do. I'm rambling, of course, but it's going to be a sad day. It's going to be a sad day when some hunter, quote unquote, accidentally shoots a Sasquatch because he thought it was a bull moose or a big buck or a big doe, and we start getting those answers. It's gonna suck, man. Anyway, just rambling, just being an idiot now. I got a good upload coming tomorrow. A guest from Virginia is going to share some stuff with us. And hopefully, very soon, I can let you guys in on the secret. I'm hoping it's going to be soon. I'm just waiting. And I'm starting to get impatient now. So as soon as I can tell you, you will know. Please. I have a few people emailing me like I'm going to give out the secret. Well, I'm not. So I'm patiently waiting to share it with you, because you'll see. Have a good night, guys.